Hello, and thank you for joining me with Section 2 of Nutritional Immunology. We are going to look in this section at minerals and phytochemicals. The first mineral that we're going to look at is iron. Iron is a vital part of proteins and enzymes in our bodies. There are two forms of iron. The first one is the heme form. This is mostly found in animal sources, and it's better absorbed in the foods that we eat. Non-heme is the second form, and it is found in plant sources. This form of iron is added to fortified foods. One of the immune benefits of iron is that it's needed to make white blood cells. Also, a deficiency in iron does lead to decreased immunity, so we know that there must be some link between this mineral and our immune system. I've listed some of the foods that are high in iron, which include fortified cereals, lentils, you'll see some lentil soup right there in that picture, as well as beans such as kidney, black, and pinto, and then tofu, which is mashed up soybeans, as well as beets, apricots, and kale. The next mineral that we'll look at as far as its ability to help our immune system is zinc. Zinc maintains the integrity of skin and mucosal membranes, so again, it's helping us keep that first line of defense against foreign invaders at its best. It's also needed for the development and activation of T cells, which again, if you remember, are our white blood cells. Now, in some studies that have been done in developing countries, they see that those who do have a low zinc status do have an increased risk of having infections like pneumonia. So we do see again that role between intake of zinc as well as infection. So a mild to moderate deficiency of zinc can impair our immune cell production and activity. But it's also important to note that zinc's ability to strengthen the body's resistance against the common cold is still up for debate. So data is really inconclusive when it comes to the use of things like zinc lozenges, nasal gels, and sprays, and their ability to treat the common cold. So in general, just as a healthy, safe note, it's not wise to have a mineral supplement. This is because too much intake of one particular mineral may interfere with the absorption of another. However, your physician may have made a specific recommendation for a mineral supplement, and of course you would follow your physician's advice. One interesting thing about zinc is that daily intake is required because our bodies do not store it. Also, when it comes to eating foods with zinc, there are some things that may inhibit its absorption. One of those things are phytates. Phytates are a component in some of the high fiber foods. Now your high fiber foods are whole grains, cereals, and legumes like peas, beans, lentils, and peanuts. And obviously, as you see in that food list, that's where a lot of our zinc come from. Now, since phytates may bind to zinc and inhibit that absorption, we may find ways that we can kind of increase that bioavailability, or zinc's availability to your body. One thing that you can do is soak your beans or grains or seeds in water for a couple of hours prior to your cooking. That'll help break down those phytates so that they won't bind to zinc as easily. Also, we can consume more leavened grain products over unleavened products. The reason being is that leavening, again, helps break down that phytate. Some foods that we want to focus on when it comes to making sure we have enough zinc in the foods that we eat are oysters, crab and lobster, fortified cereals, whole grains, beans and nuts, seeds, and also red meat and poultry. Now, a majority of us in our American diet would get plenty of red meat and poultry. So again, we're going to focus on those plant-based sources. Some example of beans would include chickpeas or garbanzo beans, that's the same thing, as well as baked beans. And a couple of examples of nuts include cashews or almonds. The last mineral that we'll look at is selenium. Selenium is an essential mineral, which again means that we need to obtain it from the foods that we eat because our body does not naturally make it. Selenium is considered an antioxidant, so it will help prevent the damage of those cells in your body. And also the major source of selenium is through plant foods. But one interesting fact is that the content of selenium in food is dependent on the content in the soil in which that plant food was grown. And actually, Nebraska and the Dakotas have the most selenium-rich soil. So, those people who eat locally grown fruits and vegetables have the highest amount of selenium in the foods that they eat. One of the immune benefits of selenium is that it does enhance your immune cell activity so that they work more effectively in fighting against infection. And also, one new fact that we'll bring into this picture is that selenium may suppress the development of blood vessels to the tumor. The blood vessels are what's responsible for bringing nutrients to all of our cells. So, it would be a positive benefit to have that suppressed because we do not want that tumor to receive nutrients. If it is suppressed, then that will hopefully slow the growth of the tumor. So here are some foods that we can encourage in our diet that are high in selenium. These include mushrooms, whole grains, seeds, Brazilian nuts, tuna, and cod. But just a word of caution, Brazilian nuts are very high in selenium, so please eat these only occasionally. The last half of this section that we're going to talk about deals with phytochemicals. Phytochemicals are produced by the plants and they may have effect on our health. Some possible ways that they could do this would be through acting as antioxidants or influencing our hormones. Now we may find that this could have a negative or a positive effect. But one thing that we want to keep in mind is that plant-based foods in general are made up of very complex components. So, research is still out when it comes to health benefits specifically from phytochemicals, or if it's just based on a plant-based food diet in general. Like I said, phytochemicals do have antioxidant activity, and here are some of the dietary components that act as antioxidants that are known as phytochemicals. Carotenoids are that red, orange, yellow pigment that give fruits and vegetables that specific color. Flavonoids are found in fruits and vegetables and some beverages, and polyphenols are found in teas as well as fruits like grapes. So again, as you can tell, they're rich in those fruits and vegetables. The carotenoid example that we'll look at is lycopene. Lycopene gives red color to plants like tomatoes and watermelon. Also, studies have found that high intake of lycopene is inversely related to the incidence of cancers like digestive, prostate, and cervix. This simply means that those people who have a higher intake of lycopene in their fruits and vegetables have a lower chance or a lower risk of getting digestive, prostate, or cervix cancer. But one thing that we, again, want to encourage and stress is this safety note, that we want to consume this lycopene through foods rather than getting it through supplements. The flavonoid that we'll look at is lutein. Lutein is found in green vegetables like broccoli, celery, cabbage, spinach, green pepper, and also cauliflower. Lutein has been found that it may help with the cell death of certain cancer cells, like oral squamous, esophageal, lung, colon, and liver. However, again, research is still out on this, so we want to advise you that we want to obtain lutein through those vegetables that I just mentioned instead of through supplements. Another phytochemical that we'll look at is the polyphenol in green tea. This polyphenol is called EGCG, and I'll humor you with my attempt of what EGCG even stands for. It's known as epigallocatechin 3-gallate and is the most abundant polyphenol in green tea. With this particular polyphenol, studies in UV radiation-induced skin cancer have found some benefits. It may help with DNA repair, which is responsible for the replication of your cells as well as its division, and it also may activate the T cells, or those white blood cells that help fight infection. EGCG can also help cause tumor cell death, and it may inhibit that blood supply to tumors so they don't receive the nutrients that they need to grow. And hopefully that would mean that the tumors would decrease in size. But again, those are studies that are in UV radiation-induced skin cancer, and I'm not for sure if that applies to all types of skin cancer. The research again is still out. Now, Mayo Clinic is conducting a research study in this area of green tea. They're doing a sponsored trial by the National Cancer Institute for patients who have asymptomatic early-stage chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and they're seeing if extracts from green tea can help with their cancer. But overall, the relationship between consuming green tea and having cancer remains inconclusive. It's been given what's called a grade C in terms of research. This means that there's really unclear or maybe conflicting scientific evidence if the polyphenol in green tea really helps boost our immune system. Also, I want us to note that there is an antioxidant controversy out there. Some physicians believe that antioxidants can increase the effectiveness of treatment. However, others believe that antioxidants may interfere with them. Therefore, again, we stress the importance of obtaining antioxidants through food sources like fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, instead of supplements. However, if you do feel that your diet is low in these types of foods, you may consider the use of a multivitamin. But please talk with your dietitian or your doctor before starting this, and it would be even more helpful to maybe bring in the multivitamin that you want so that your dietitian or doctor can take a look at the label and see what's inside. Phytochemicals can also influence the hormones in our body. These would be known as phytoestrogens or plant estrogens. Plant estrogens really just imitate human estrogen, and one type of phytoestrogen is isoflavone. Isoflavones are in soybeans and soy-based foods like tofu. An example of a phytoestrogen is genistein. Now, genistein has been found that it may help with the immune response, and that's possibly related to increased T cells and natural killer cells. So again, if those are increased, it would help your immune system work better and more efficiently. Genistein also may increase antioxidant activity to help release that damage from your cells. But again, further research is needed in this area, and it's only been given a grade C as terms of if it's really effective. Some population studies have also gone on to look at if higher soy intake is associated with cancer. Again, this kind of research has just gotten a grade C, so there's conflicting evidence out there. Because of the mixed research results on the ability of genistein and other types of phytoestrogens to help with particular cancers, we again want to obtain these types of food in moderation. So we want to stress having like soy milk and tofu in moderation rather than even taking supplements of this type of phytochemical. Also bear in mind that there is a controversial kind of topic when it comes to postmenopausal breast cancer patients. Because in these patients, the phytoestrogen or the estrogen levels don't want to be as high. So really experts don't agree on the topic on whether genistein is helpful for these types of patients. However, other hormone-related cancers like prostate, moderate intake could be helpful. But again, we'll just concentrate on obtaining these types of phytochemicals through the foods that we eat, and in doing so in moderation. The last phytoestrogen that we'll look at are lignans. Lignans are mostly found in fiber-rich plants. Flaxseed has the highest amount inside of it. Whole grains, legumes, and vegetables are also very good sources of lignans. Now, flaxseed doesn't exactly have lignin itself in it, but it does have a precursor in it. Then when you eat flaxseed, your body activates it into the active form, which is lignin. These lignans have shown promise in reducing the growth of cancer tumors, especially hormone-sensitive ones. But again, we want to obtain this type of phytoestrogen in moderation. So you may have noticed a theme when it comes to looking at vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals. As you can see, it can be maximized through eating fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, because that's really where all these components are found most in. The great thing about a plant-based diet, though, is that it's not only rich in fiber, but it's also low in saturated fat, which would help with heart health. But again, remember that research is showing mixed results of specific dietary components' ability to help with your immune system. So in general, it may be having a plant-based diet that will help your immune system. We're just not for sure which specific components in those plants are most helpful. Overall, we want to focus on having a wide variety of beautiful colors when it comes to fruits and vegetables, and having several different types of whole grains and legumes so that we can maximize all of the vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals that could be needed in having a healthy immune system. Well, thanks for joining me with this section. I hope that you will come and see the last section, which is on food safety.